Lagos, this is the midday show on Lagos Talks 91.3 and the ladies are here. My name, of course, is Olaoluwa and we're the news lady. Oiza, good morning once again.
Hi, Olaoluwa. Good morning. Welcome to Healthline.
Yes, there's no better conversation to have on radio at this point in time than health conversations. And there's a question on my mind today. Do you ever wonder if we have malnourished children in Lagos, if malnutrition is a thing in Lagos? Because Lagos is a city where you find all kinds of things that you want to eat. I mean, the good stuff, the sweet stuff. And do you ever wonder, do we have enough healthy stuff? Do we mix in enough healthy stuff? Do we consume generally
Balanced diet.
Yeah, as parents, as children, some of the conversations we want to have this morning. And interestingly, we have a pediatric nutrition consultant, an activist, and a philanthropist. You probably know her, she is Mrs. Adetoun Onajobi. Some people know her as Just Adetoun. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's good to have you. I love your steez.
Thank you.
I think the steez is calm.
Yeah.
Do you ever get that you look calmer in person?
So it depends on where you catch me.
Oh.
On the professional line, yes, I'm very calm. As a mom, yes, I'm very calm. As an activist, no, I'm not calm.
Yeah, because I sure do know that part of you.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people don't get to see this part of me, or a lot of people got to know me through activism and not the professional line. So that's fine. At least you've seen who the real person is.
I mean, I was so surprised when, you just came in, you're like, okay. I'm like, all
right. We're going to get to encounter you or have an experience of you in the professional light today. And that, I believe, is going to be an awesome time.
No, that's fine.
One thing I sure know is that you do not joke with children's rights.
No, I don't.
I know. You do not joke with women's rights as well. So, but one thing we are going to learn about you is that you are also a professional nutritionist. And as a matter of fact, we understand that you are a nutrition consultant at the Ifako Hospital. And we want to learn a lot from you today. So in your own experience, living in Lagos, working in Lagos, do you think we have a nutrition problem in Lagos?
Oh, yes, we do have a nutrition problem in Lagos, and that problem has been long existing. It's been long existing. You mentioned the Ifako Hospital now. I was a consultant working through our NGO. We have an NGO called Feed, Educate, Enlighten, Dignify a Child Community Initiative. So the F is the feed, the E is the educate, like that. So as part of our responsibilities, we go around communities looking for children who need nutritional help, and then we support them. So some years ago, 2016, 17, 18, I was partnering with Ifako General Hospital, and then we were working strictly with malnourished children and breastfeeding moms. So I'm going to say yes, it's always been and it is still there. And one of our responsibilities at Feed a Child is to eradicate the core reason why our children grow up in a very, very versatile society, a blessed environment where there's everything. There's My 12, there's Shagisha market, there is everywhere, market food everywhere, and we still have a problem.
I mean, quite ironic.
Yeah, it's not ironic. It's just that we don't understand the fact of nutrition and diet. So the problem we have in our society today is everybody feels food is nutrient. Unfortunately, food is not nutrient. And most importantly, you realize that our young generations are suffering because parents have failed to understand that food is more important than medicine. And there's something that is very, very standard and nobody can cheat it, which is the human nature, the formative stage of the first 1,000 days. So once you don't get the first 1,000 days clear, clean, stated with the facts and follow the regulations, trust me, there's nothing to build on.
That first 1,000 days, I think we're going to get back to that. But what does a malnourished child look like?
So for malnutrition, it differs. There are some children who are malnourished and you never know, it's not symptomatic. And there are some children who, when they get malnourished, maybe kwashiorkor, marasmus and all of that, it's obvious because it's the different types. You know, we have the macronutrient deficiencies and then we have the protein deficiency. So it depends on the kind of malnutrition that you're talking about. But if we look at it in the normal Lagos standard or an average child between the age of 1 to 3 years standard, once a child is jumping up, a child is talking, a child is running, everybody feels that the child is healthy.
Yeah.
But the question is, how many times do you visit the hospital in a month? How many times does your baby catch cough, cold, has poor appetite, has iron deficiency, you're always on blood tonic, you're always on medication? How many times does that happen? So once you realize that within a space of 6 to 9 months, your baby falls sick, like often or monthly, definitely that child has a hidden malnutrition that you don't know. And these are basically the vitamin A's, the zinc, the iron. You know, it's very, very prominent that a lot of children have it and a lot of parents don't know. But when you look at the symptoms, you know, failed immune system, vulnerability and all of that, poor appetite and all of that, you realize that this child has an underlying nutritional deficiency.
Oh, okay.
Does it mean that, yes, I want to go. Does it mean that you see a fresh baby, the skin is popping, but the child falls sick like every now and then?
Oh, that's an immune issue. That's a vitamin A related problem. Then that's still diet.
It's still a diet problem.
Yeah,
so a baby can look chubby.
A baby can look chubby.
popping
A chubby
and
baby
still
does not mean a healthy baby. A baby can look all big, bloated. Most times when you see breastfed babies, you see they're always very, very big and chubby. And then you notice that a lot of moms, once they are transiting from that exclusive breastfeeding to complementary feeding, the first problem we always hear from them is, my baby is not eating. My baby has poor appetite. And this is simply because we all grew up with a simple statement of breastfeeding is the best, is the safest, is the cheapest. But listen, you see, when we talk about macronutrients and micronutrients, these things work together, they fuse together. What you eat, the quality of your breast milk is based on what you eat. The only one as a mother, the only one that comes undiluted and concentrated with immunoglobulins and all of that is the colostrum milk. So don't think that I'm breastfeeding my baby, I'm drinking ogogoro, I'm always drinking pap, I'm always taking spicy food, I'm always on beverage, then you're raising a healthy baby. First of all, you would have started seeing the symptoms. Bowel issues, irregular bowel, you know, that's constipation, drooling, throwing up, spitting up, passing of gas, loose stool, lactose sensitivity, and all of that.
Is it on the part of the child?
On the part of the child. Okay. So the breast milk is based on what you eat as a mom. And a lot of people don't also know that breast milk is not nutritionally complete. Breast milk does not contain the expected amount of vitamin D that your baby needs. So you realize that once the exclusive breastfeeding session is gone, a lot of mothers complain about that. Zinc is a factor, vitamin D is a factor. You know, that's why when you're pregnant, we tell moms the first 1,000 days, ensure you take all your multivitamins. Multivitamins will boost whatever you take. Multivitamins does not treat what is deficient. But a lot of mommies, once they give birth, they realize, they say, oh, I'm done with my supplements. And these things are very, very important. You know, your pregnant care is very, very important. The tablet, because it's a whole combination of all the macronutrients that your body needs, the minerals and the vitamins that your body needs. So you realize that when you're careless on that session, there's an onward result waiting for you. That's the trick about it. So once it starts from 6 months after your exclusive breastfeeding, you notice that it carries on like that. It carries on. Then my baby has poor appetite. My baby is not eating. My baby is not the body doesn't have anywhere to store zinc. Zinc is a daily nutrient that you consume. But you see everybody, I must consume carbohydrate. I must consume protein. You know, the more interested in those ones, not understanding that there are some nutrients, minerals that are responsible for activating these things, transporting them, reloading them, rejuvenating them in your body. So without these minerals and vitamins, whatever proteins and carbohydrates and fruits and vegetables you're taking, it's not going to be efficient. That is why we are raising an unhealthy generation today, because our moms believe that once you're giving pap, once you're giving fruit, once you're giving, there are most important nutrients that a lot of moms have no idea of. And don't forget, The medical field and the pharmaceutical field is the greatest business. When you go to hospitals, the doctors are not going to tell you this because they just want to put you on supplements and give you medications and treat your ailment, and then you have to come back. But when you understand what the food pyramid is, you follow the discipline of the food pyramid. Trust me, the only thing you need to go do in the hospital is just to get your immunization.
And that's why I'd like for you to speak to the belief that, which you already mentioned, but I'd like for you to speak to it directly, sort of give recommendations. So an average parent believes that when you're feeding a child, just feed him enough to satisfaction. So there isn't exactly that concern about
caloric load and
diet,
nutrients,
so to speak. And there is also this belief that getting these other nutrients can be expensive. So I can easily buy gari, make eba, or get fufu and all that. I'd like for you to speak to that. And secondly, you said you work with an NGO feed. Do you work with street children? Because would also find most of these children might not malnourished.
Okay, so for Feed a Child, it's an advocacy platform where we try to enlighten people. We try to educate people about the importance of nutrition and how they should go about it.
Yeah.
So I've been in this for 18 years, and what we've done through the NGO platform is going to hospitals, training nurses, nutrition experts. There's something I need to clarify here. You see, the field of nutrition is broad.
Okay.
Somebody cannot come to me and say I'm a nutritionist and then I'm raising a child. I have seen doctors, I have assisted nutritionist professionals in raising their own kids, because the mistake everybody keeps making is, for example, I'll give a good example, banana. They tell you banana is good for weight gain. Banana is high in this. You see people doing ogi now, pap. They'll tell you add crayfish, add dates. The issue is, what part of banana is essential? At what time of the day is it essential for you to take it? If you take banana during the day, maybe you go to the gym and all that, you need some energy, you can take banana to spike up your energy level.
Okay.
If you want to put a child to sleep, or you feel you're not resting well at night, you can add banana to the diet. And then what happens is it releases serotonin, which calms the nerves, and then the baby is put to sleep. So the issue is, what time of the day are you infusing nutrients into the human body, and how do you infuse these nutrients? I've seen a lot of people on social media, I've seen content creators, just because they are celebrities, they are popular, the next thing you see them doing, or because they are chef, the next thing you see them doing is they have babies and then they start to blend all sorts. I've seen people who will grind coca oats and tell you that, oh, I'm giving my baby oat is because it's organic. No, you see, all these things with the endosperm layer, the bran, and all of these things have the part of them that is beneficial to the human body. For adults, we use coca oat to lower cholesterol. If you want to burn fat and all of that, we use it. But for babies, coca oat is for weight gain. So what species of coca oat, what time of the day? So these are the mistakes that an average mom is making. Somebody's going to tell you, oh, put crayfish because it's a source of protein. Crayfish is good, but crayfish contains a lot of contaminants. Lead, trashes. Even if you buy crayfish, you see shells and all of that. And the thing a lot of moms don't know is, no matter how much you cook food, it doesn't kill pathogens.
Okay.
Then you see the ignorant ones telling you they cook the rice, they make it very soft. What is the end product of the rice that you have cooked that is very, very soft? It's still sugar. You boil the yam and you make it extremely soft. It is still sugar. You're running away from baby food because you say it contains sugar. What type of sugar? The lactose, the sucrose, the oligosaccharide, or the glucose from your rice or your eba? So the problem we have is not the food. The problem we have is people don't understand what food is. And we grew up like that. You see people, they tell you they are cooking at home, they will not add palm oil and all of that. Palm oil is not healthy for a growing child. These children have immature digestive system. I always give a very good example. If you go to a farm, you see fingerlings in the pond, and then you see the big ones. You realize that what they're giving to the fingerlings is quite different from what they're giving to the adult ones, the grown ones. Why? Because those ones are eating for growth, and the other ones, they've gotten their exact size, their weight. They're only waiting for market value to sell. They are eating for sustenance. So a child between the age of 1 to 3 years is eating for growth. This is growth of the developmental phase, the key sensitive organs, the gastrointestinal structure, the microbiome health, and all of this. Do our parents understand that? No. And that is why you realize that malnutrition has been transferred from one generation to the other. Because people are not also putting global warming into consideration. You can't feed a child on ogi and you expect the child to be healthy. You will give the child ogi. After 2 hours, the child will be jumping here and there, everywhere. And before you know it, after some time, the child will just relapse and then, you know what, just knock off. Because what are you giving? These are like fermented products without probiotics, healthy probiotics. And a lot of people also make the mistake of probiotics in food. Probiotic strains for adults is quite different from probiotic strain cultures and for babies. So that is why you see people when they tell you they are making yogurt. How do you make yogurt? If you're making yogurt at home as an adult or you buy yogurt from the store, what you are buying for an adult is not for kids. If you go to the hospital and they say you have headache, doctor is going to give you paracetamol. We have paracetamol for adults. We have paracetamol for kids.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, you go to the hospital, your baby is sick, they need to even inject. The syringe they use for you is different from the syringe they use for your babies. So we need to understand that food is not nutrients. The minute an average poor woman or a rich woman understands that, then we can raise a healthy generation. And the first 1,000 days is the greatest and the most sensitive period where you input all of these things into the human body. Because after the 3rd year, there's a complete closure of the developmental cycle. And whatever you input there is what is going to carry you for the next 50 years of your life. If you have a child who doesn't have a fully developed kidney, a healthy liver, trust me, in another 15, 20 years, that child is prone and vulnerable to all sorts of ailments and diseases.
All right. From all you've said so far, one thing I've picked is that the journey of good nutrition for kids.
It's from the first 1,000 days.
Even starts with the mother during
the pregnancy. So the first 1,000 days is from the day you get pregnant.
Oh
yes.
Okay.
From the day you get pregnant is the day. Now, a lot of people don't understand that. When they are pregnant, they are interested in, I feel like eating noodles. I
have cravings.
I don't want Bonvita. Go and get me calm.
My own jollof rice.
Listen, the first 3 months is the formative stage. That's where the foundation is built. And when you go for your scan, all you see is bones, the skeletal structure building up. At the 2nd trimester, that is when the body starts to add up flesh, the dental formation and all of that. At the 3rd trimester is the full closure and development of the key sensitive organs. So if you are at 2nd trimester of pregnancy, all you are thinking about is Indomie with spicy food, and you are not eating foods that are high in calcium and taking loads of vitamin D and then taking plenty of proteins. Listen, by the time your baby is 6 months, 7 months, there ain't going to be no teeth. There ain't going to be no teeth. Your teeth is supposed to be sprouting after 4 months to 6 months. And then you see a 9-month-old baby, no teeth. I say, it's normal. Hey, excuse me, it's not normal. That's a nutritional deficiency. At the period when the formation is going on, what was your diet like? A lot of people who give birth to premature babies are vulnerable to diabetes at an older age. Because the 3rd trimester of their pregnancy is when there's supposed to be a full closure and formation of the key sensitive organs. So a lot of people don't understand this. And now, where is this problem coming from? The lack of information about maternal nutrition and pediatric nutrition is the problem. Nutritionists are taking over a wrong space and passing wrong information to our generation.
Wow.
And we need to identify this, that there's a field of discipline. There's gastroenterology nutrition, there's dermatology nutrition, there's pediatric nutrition, there's neonatal nutrition, there's OBGYN nutrition. So you can't just come to me and say you are a dietitian and then you expect me to hand over my child to you, or a nutrition specialist. I've seen situations where massive, big hospitals in Nigeria, when they come to me for consultation, because we also have babyology clinic. Okay. We have babyology, we have feed a child, we have babyology clinic. And when I look at the case file, I always tell them, you are killing these children. And they tell you they're working with nutritionists. Just put granite, just put date, just put crayfish. This is not going to solve the problem. You're only compounding and complicating the problems.
So my question is that when we go to our government hospitals, do we have like sit-in nutritionists, pediatric?
Do we have sit-in pediatric nutritionists?
Or do mothers get the education when they go for antenatal?
No, they don't. I've been in this field for 18 years. I've worked with so many hospitals. I've done private consultations for the high and mighty, the poor and the low. One thing I love about me is, fine, everything that involves Just Adetoun is nutrition, children, and all of that. But we've also created a very, very stronger platform for the less privileged, which is our NGO. Do you understand? Where we want to go and talk to pregnant women for free. We want to go to schools to talk to our young girls about menstrual health, menstrual nutrition, and all of that. How to start prepping their bodies at an older age. The things they should avoid, because at a puberty age, they want to eat this, they want to take this, and all of that. So the problem we have, and the one of the ways government can tackle this, is train people in the field of pediatric nutrition.
That is very important.
Extremely. If we don't have that, we're not going anywhere. Doctors, and you have to understand that Nigerians have the fear of a doctor. Whatever their doctors tell them, they take it like they believe it. So it is when you start asking them questions that your doctor, okay, I've seen a situation where a child had multiple protein allergy, and then all the doctor said is, don't give your child milk again, stop completely. And after some time, this child started having, complications. And when they consulted me, I said, why would a doctor tell you to stop? This is multiple protein allergy. Number one, go for a vigor test or a pediatric allergy test. Identify what the cause of the problem is. We know the type of proteins this child is reacting to. And then we look at the type of formula. There's animal protein milk. There's plant-based. There's so many. But do our doctors even know it? No. And there's also a secret behind all of this problem. And the secret behind all of this problem is WHO standard regulation of companies not being allowed to advertise baby formula and foods. So because of that, multinationals and all these companies, these corporate bodies, they go through medical doctors, they finance them, they sponsor them, they send them for trainings and all of that, so that they can push their brands. But how well informed are these doctors about these individual products? Every formula has an hypoallergenic version. How many of you do you see in the Nigerian market? I have seen multinationals come into this country, and at the end of the day, they pull out because they are not impacting in the nutritional aspects, because the regulations are tight. But we have to understand that global warming is really in our faces and is affecting a whole lot of stuffs. Those days when you plant vegetables, your vegetables are green. Now it will turn black. The next day, if you cook shoko or gure, it will turn black. You notice that they even have to spray bananas and plantain to get ripe. These things were never there. Are these things contributing factors? Yes. You see a child who take an apple, eat, and then a GI inflammation occurs. There's a stomach flu. There's a problem, because no matter how you wash these things, these chemicals, this wax and all of that, they get into it. But the difference is we are not there yet in understanding what the global field of information is. Anything that goes in the can is unhealthy. Not understanding that there are processes these foods go through: pasteurization, dextrinization, homogenization, and all of that. Excuse me.
Bless you.
What these things do is they kill the bacteria. Some of these fruits are healthy, for example, but there are bacteria living in them or toxins in them that are not too healthy. You can't be giving beetroot to a child, for example. It's too harsh. So all of these things, it's not about food. The message that we should continue to push out is nutrient. And I tell people, before you give your child anything, ask, what is the nutritional benefit that my child is going to get from this?
So is there this is a bit more practical. Can you maybe recommend what a parent should feed a child from 1 to 3? What should, especially now that we've talked about the common things that parents give their children, and we've been able to establish that not all of these things are nutritionally beneficial to the child. So what recommendations would you make?
All right. So for me, as a professional consultant, I play by the rules of the game. We have a standard policy, and the standard policy is follow the food pyramid of a 1 to 3 year old child.
Okay.
You can't say you're giving your baby milk. Protein is the most important nutrient that every baby, an infant, a toddler, a preschooler needs. But you can't tell me that you want to give your baby milk now. You now go and buy, for example, maybe you go and buy peak. And you say we are all taking peak in our house. There's peak 1, 2, 3. There's peak 4, 5, 6. The composition of these nutrients differ. People just need to come to reality and face the reality of what we're dealing with. That nutrients for food completely differ. So I tell an average parent, buy age-regulated foods. The same way you go to pharmacies and you buy age-regulated drugs. You're not going to go to a pharmacy and say you want to buy antibiotics and then you start buying 750 or 625 mg. Follow the same pattern. You won't go to a pharmacy and you want to buy paracetamol for a 6-month-old baby and you go and buy adult paracetamol. Yeah. So why is the food different? This is a child that has an immature digestive system, a growing gut. This is a child that needs to develop physically. This is a child that needs all the nutrients they need together. They need to collect it. The body has where it stores it. We have storage protein. We have proteins that are responsible for transporting nutrients. We have the ones that are responsible for storing it. It takes the body a certain period before your body begins to get deficient. So when you see a 9-month-old baby, for example, and they tell you this baby has low iron level, listen, it didn't happen last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. There's been a backlog of about 3 to 6 months because there's in the human body, there's where the body stores nutrients. And when you are not consuming it at that point in time, the body can go there, take these nutrients and then use it up. And then as you're feeding, the body does not utilize all the nutrients. It also stores some of these nutrients. There's a place in the body where the body stores fat. There's a place in the body where the body can store calcium. There's a place in the body where the body can activate calcium. All of these things are the real human factor.
All right. So if I get you clearly now, ma'am, it's very important as soon as a woman gets pregnant, maybe begin to see a nutritionist.
Begin to follow the standard food pyramid. Eat as much as you can, healthy meals. Take plenty of water. Hydrate. Avoid spicy foods. A lot of people make that mistakes, and these things affect the newborn babies.
How?
It affects the GI tract. It affects their gut health. Listen, the gut health is the main thing. You see, I keep talking about it. The brain, the head is the brain box. Okay. The engine room of any human being is the gut health. So whatever the gut health processes is what goes around the whole human body. So if the gut health is not okay, I've seen people who have babies who are, when they want to poo, you see a 3 days, 1 month old baby finding it difficult to poo. And the baby is exclusively breastfed. And a doctor is going to come tell me that is normal. Excuse me, this ain't normal. Because this woman is consuming something that is affecting the gut health. We've seen situations where when we do tests, we have to eliminate onions. We've seen children react to a whole lot. We've seen people coming from history of people who have RNA issues of allergy. So all of these things also play important roles. So what I tell an average pregnant woman is, eat right, rest. Don't joke with this thing we call rest. It affects the hormones. I say pregnant women tell you, I'm drinking Zobo. I'm a pregnant woman. I'm drinking malt. Nothing do me. Nothing they do you, but something they do the pikin. It complicate the pikin state, developmental status. Really? And then if most times, even when you give birth, you might not see these things like immediately. And then onward journey, you notice that, when we start, you see, there's one thing we do in OBGYN nutrition. When there's an underlying problem, and that's the major difference between pediatrics and proper nutrition. When there's an underlying problem, when you go to the hospital and you say, my baby has temperature, my baby is throwing up, my baby is drooling, my baby doesn't have appetite, the doctors are going to give you medication and say, okay, let's quickly treat this. When you come to us as in pediatric nutrition, what we want to do is we want to trace the underlying cause of this problem. We want to find out
to the source.
Yes, because any problem, I use the word any issue a child is facing within the first 3 years of their life is through their diet. Name that ailment. Name any ailments is related to what they consume. So we always want to identify that. So what I tell pregnant women is, don't take your maternal nutrition for a joke. Understand what you need during the first trimester. High folates, high iron loaded foods.
Like,
I tell people, when you're taking fruits, don't ignore the seeds, the bark, what you call the chaff and all of that. Watermelon, for example, has more nutrient than the watermelon juice itself.
I mean, the bark.
When you're a pregnant woman, when you're eating watermelon, consume watermelon with the seeds.
Yeah.
You wake up, you're always having nausea. Take watermelon. It will help stop that spitting up.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Noted.
A whole lot of all those things are very, very important. As a pregnant woman, get fennel seed around you. Get moringa seeds around you during your 3rd trimester of pregnancy. As a pregnant woman, during your 2nd trimester of pregnancy, concentrate. Let your proteins be your major and your carbohydrates be your minor. At the third trimester of pregnancy, let your fiber and your protein be more than your carbohydrates. Because during this period, you're beginning to prep for the final journey. You need your muscles to be fully ready, relaxed, and then you need plenty of fiber in your system because your belly is already seated on your whole system. You are carrying loads. That's why you see some people say they're having constipation, they're having bowel issue, they cannot grow, they cannot do this, they cannot do that. So the first phase is different. Your nutrient, the second phase is different. Your nutrient at the third phase is different. When you understand all of these things, very, very important. I see some people, they tell you during pregnancy, they always have preeclampsia, they always have this, they always have low this, they always have blood pressure, they always have this. What's your diet like? You can't be taking drugs on an empty body. You can't be taking supplements on an empty body. I've said this countless times. Multivitamins does not treat deficiency. It only boosts. It's a booster. If your body needs, let's say, 800 mg of calcium, and you've been able to take 400, 500, and you take your supplements, it will boost the bioavailability.
Yeah.
But you can't say you're not taking calcium, you're not taking fruit, you're not taking vitamins, and then you go and take all the supplements. You're only putting a whole lot of workload on your liver and your kidney. I'm sorry. Your liver is just going to flush it out as an unwanted nutrient because there's no way your body can process it.
So are there correctional ways for a child who probably has had nutritional issues within the age mentioned 1 to 3?
Yes. Within the first 3 years, whatever nutritional deficiency up until neurodevelopmental issues, we can correct it. After 3 years, what we do is we can only push into the system and see what the body is going to tell us. Is at that point, we call it the call and response type of nutrient. Okay. But once the child is below the age of 3, whatever problem the child has, low iron level, gastrointestinal issues, allergies, and all of that, we can always correct it. We would definitely, I always give 1000% guarantee that bring the child to me, I will do the magic.
With food?
With food, nothing else. We don't do drugs. We do food. No matter how bad the situation is. I've taken a 0.7 gram baby. And then after 4 months, we gave her expected percentile. Even from your neonatal days, we've seen people who have premature babies. And then there's something we call bridge gap nutrition. Within that first 4 months, when a child is born as a premature, we can always correct it. Because what we do is we dose the body with specific calories that the body needs. We do a calorie calculation and we dose the body. But do people know all of this? No, people run to the hospital rather than running to us for help.
All right. 2 questions very quickly. Because when we hear nutritionists speak like this, I know that there are a number of Nigerians who go like, our mothers have been feeding us pap since we were born. And look at how healthy we are. All this new.
And that's why I said global warming.
Oh.
Global warming. You see, I'll give you a good example. Vitamin D. Those days when we're growing up, our mothers never put us in AC, close window, do Snapchat, do TikTok, use us for content. They will put us on the back, walk to the markets. Do you understand? We're under the sun there, collecting vitamin D. Our body was collecting nutrients naturally. But since technology came, instead of us understanding what technology is, the disadvantages of technology, we are exploiting technology, not understanding that everything has a positive and negative side.
Yeah.
You can't close a child up within the hours of 9 a.m. and 11:30 when the early morning sunlight is, and you are expecting the child to get vitamin D source of nutrient. Where is the child going to get it from? Don't forget your breast milk doesn't even contain enough. And don't forget that vitamin D is a key responsible factor where you're talking about metabolism, activation, transportation, regulation of nutrients in the human body. So vitamin D is not all about physical symptoms. It affects a whole lot of things, the immune health and all of that in the human body.
All right, second question. For parents who are not necessarily rich enough to afford some of the age, specific milks, baby milks we have out there, because we hear some of those things are very expensive.
Very expensive.
Now. How can you advise them? There's a message here from Michael from
breastfeed your child. I breastfeed all of my children for 5 good years.
Yeah.
I've never stopped.
5 years.
5 years.
Yes. I understand what it is. I understand what the human body produces on its own. It's an automated response when you eat right.
Okay.
So I tell people, breastfeed for as long as you want to. It's investment. The day you understand that nutrition is an investment, you will go every mile to give your child the best. So you see, even some children in the villages, they are healthier. They are on breastfeed milk. We've gone to IDP camps. I've gone around Nigeria, almost around Nigeria when it comes to nutrition. I've worked in IDP camps. We've gone to remote areas. We've gone to, name it. And what we tell them there and there is breastfeed your child. Breastfeeding is the golden will for any child. But these days, people are funkified and funkinized this thing called nutrients. People want to practicalize. A baby is 4 months. The next thing, you go and buy mango. You buy carrots. You buy pear. You buy dates. You start blending. You start cooking. Nutrition is not practical. We're talking about experiments of over 20, 50 years. You can't just go to the market, buy beans, wash the beans, cook it very soft and say you're giving to a child. No. Are you giving sprouted beans? All these chemicals they put in these beans, you think cooking it is going to kill the pathogens in it? No. These things are lead. These things are toxins. They find their way into the bloodstream. Palm oil, I was talking about palm oil. Palm oil are inhibitors. Palm oil inhibits, it sucks minerals in your body. But you see somebody say, I now put small palm oil. Excuse me? What are you doing?
I still want to get to the bottom of this Zobo thing, because some people claim that if a pregnant woman takes it, the baby will get aborted or something, or,
have a miscarriage.
She'll have a miscarriage.
So you see, all of these things in general, there's a certain amount of nutrients the body can take. There's a certain amount of toxins the body can also take. You see, Zobo leaf is extremely powerful. If you are pregnant, for example, and you are suffering from low blood pressure, and you are taking Zobo leaf, it's going to crash your whole system. What quantity of Zobo leaf are you even supposed to take? You see people boiling Zobo leaf, then they will now put pineapple, they will now put atare, they will now put ginger. These things are acidic, and it can trigger anything in the human body. So one of the major problems we also have, you see, I'm extremely careful when you said I should give you recipes that people can afford, because it is the dosing of these nutrients. Your body needs 350 mg of iron. And you are telling me that liver has iron, beans has iron, dodo has iron, bread has iron. The question is, what quantity? How do you measure it? It's not by tablespoon. It's not by one hand. It's not by an apple small. It's about the quantity that the body needs. If the body needs 350 mg of iron, and it needs maybe 1 mg or 3 mg of manganese or magnesium for you to metabolize it or transport it, they are called cofactors and coenzymes. How do we get this? So you can't tell me you are a chef who knows how to cook and then you are a nutrition consultant. It's not possible. I never gave any of my children pap. I never cooked food for any of my children. Not because I cannot do it, but because I understand the underlying consequences. And that is why this generation is transmitting or inheriting diabetes and all of these sicknesses from themselves to their children, because they grew up drinking ogi. Then look at those people who drank ogi. They're always having either cataract, they're always having either diabetes, they're always having one ailment. Because what is ogi? These sugars break the lining of the intestinal wall, and then they find their way into your bloodstream. Then you go to hospital and they say you have blood in your sugar. You see, Ondo people will tell you, Ekiti people say, I must eat What quantity of inyan did you eat to balance with the effort?
Oh. All right. Tunde from Lekki says, good morning, Olaoluwa, Oiza, and Madam Adetoun in the studio. Please, ma, what is the cause of dyslexia in children, and can such children be helped nutritionally? That's Tunde from Lekki.
Yes. So when you're talking about dyslexia, you are talking about the neurodevelopmental issues. And these are a composition of the type of fats that your child eats at an onward journey during the pregnancy stage and the first 3 years of their life. So what we always tell such people is to go for a neurotherapy nutrition. That's what thing you can do. We're talking about the memory of the child, the stability of the child, the cognitive response of the child. So these are all neurodevelopmental issues that nutrients can help. We've seen children who have it. Fortunately, from my end, I've seen a child who has it, and we're able to deal with it.
Interesting.
Oh, yes. These are neurodevelopmental issues.
What did you say, parent, you should go for again?
What kind of fats? The first question is, how old is this child? That's the first question I always ask. Once a child that is above 3, like I told you, we can only now do call and response, push into the body, and the body is the only person that can tell us how bad the situation is or how good the body can respond, because we can't tell the level of deficiency or inadequacy in the human body. So how old is that child? That's always my first discipline and question. So let him tell us how old that child is, and I can help out right now.
All right. Tunde, if you can just drop that in 30 seconds, maybe we can forward that to Madam Adetoun here. And before we just call it a day, I'd just like you to and play a very short game, maybe in the matter of 1 or 2 minutes. It's called This or That. So you are to pick the healthier option as a nutritionist. Pack for school lunch. Pack that parents do for school lunch for their children. Meat pie or boiled egg sandwich. Which one would you recommend?
What's in the pack?
Yes. So the pack with meat pie or the pack with boiled egg sandwich.
Let's go for the boiled egg sandwich.
Okay.
Lutein. We're talking about lutein and protein there.
All right. Best breakfast for toddlers: sweetened cereal or oats with fruits. Which one? Sweetened cereal? Is it oats with fruits?
What do you mean by sweetened cereal?
So the cornflakes, the
with milk, the sugar,
pops and all.
The sweetened cereal.
So there's a trick behind that. We might discuss it another day. So the trick behind it is I'll go for the cereal because
over the oats.
Over the oats, of course. What kind of oats is that and what age? So I'll go for the cereal because the cereal, you can't take the cereal without the most important nutrient, which is the protein. So the cereal is always a trick for people to consume protein in the morning.
All right. Juice box or water with sliced fruits.
Water and sliced fruits.
Okay.
Non-acidic fruits though.
Okay. Fried plantain or roasted yam with oil-free sauce. Which one is better?
For what age?
Well, depends on the age, right?
Yes. These things are age related. Everything is about age.
So let's say for a 5-year-old.
Okay, so repeat that. Let me take 5-year-old.
Fried plantain or roasted yam with oil-free sauce.
Roasted yam or fried plantain. For me, I'll go for fried plantain. Roasted yam is dry. That can choke. That's not healthy. And don't forget, they need this kind of healthy fats for their brain development.
All right, let's quickly do a true or false. Babies should only be fed only breast milk for the first 6 months. True or false?
False.
Okay. Adding
what if the mother is not alive? What if the mother has terminal complications?
All right. Adding cereal to baby formula helps baby sleep better. True or false?
Adding
cereal to baby formula helps baby sleep better.
It depends on the cereal. High glycemic or low glycemic. Spike energy level or release melatonin so that the body can calm and sleep.
All right.
We have night cereals, we have day cereals, we have desserts.
Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Children under 1 year can safely eat honey.
No. It depends.
Children need multivitamins.
Natural honey or pasteurized honey.
Oh, okay.
You brought a specialist here, so I'm not going to do yes and no. We have to get it. What kind of honey? Raw honey from the farm? No. Okay. Pasteurized honey, homogenized, dextrinized honey? Yes.
All right. And one last word. Obesity in children is purely caused by overeating?
No.
No, it could be caused by
body metabolism. Improper proportion of nutrients can also cause it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time on Healthline today on Lagos Talks 91.3. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your questions. And Madam Adetoun Onajobi, also known as Just Adetoun, as I mentioned earlier, is a nutritionist consultant, Ifako Hospital, Chief Executive Officer, Bibiology Wellness and Nutrition Clinic Limited.
Can you just... I worked with at some point.
Okay.
I've worked with so many hospitals afterwards.
All right. Thank you so much. Anyways, it's a pleasure
to being here.
Get all of the education. We have to go right now because it is time for the news at noon on Lagos Talks 91.3. Oiza, we have to go right.
Yeah, thank you, Lagos. My name is Oiza. I would see you at 12:30. Yeah.
For parenting today.
Exactly.
Yes, I am Olaoluwa, the news lady.